So it's been a while since we heard some updates surrounding The Batman 2, but we did get word a few months ago that the casting process would be underway in the coming months. And yesterday, the rumours surrounding that casting process may have begun. According to a podcast show starring John Rocha and Jeff Snyder, 2 actors have been shortlisted for Harvey Dent in Matt Reeves' sequel. Alongside this, there was some other news which included actors shortlisted to play Superman and Lois Lane in the DCU, an actor who is apparently being considered for the Swamp Thing movie, and an update on a director for the Brave and the Bold film. In this video, I'm going to be discussing all the latest Batman 2 and DC news, breaking down what I think towards all of it. Before I get into it though, if you want to keep up to date on any of my future content surrounding the Batman universe and other upcoming DC films, then don't forget to support this upload by giving it a like rating, subscribing to the channel, and turning on your notifications. But without further ado, let's dive into all the latest casting rumours and news for DC. So at the start of the year, it was made known to us that the Batman 2 would be going into production at the end of 2023, and that casting would take place for new characters over the summer months. We've had a recent update saying that filming would now begin in the early stages of 2024, but it seems that casting will still take place and not be delayed. And during the Hot Mic podcast with John Rocha and Jeff Snyder, we got a new rumour about who might be playing Harvey Dent in Matt Reeves' Batman sequel. Now it's key to take this news with a grain of salt because John Rocha did make it clear that this is just what he's heard from another source and that this is not a scoop from Jeff Snyder, who is of course more credible when it comes to film scoops and reports. But I will say that Jeff didn't deny this report when John did bring it up, and that makes it have a bit more potential. Anyway, getting into what was said, Rocha claimed in the podcast that his source told him that Harvey Dent would be in the Batman Part 2 and that the character would become Two-Face by the end of the movie. On top of this, he also said that the 2 actors in contention to play Dent in the film are currently Joel Edgerton and Josh Hartnett. Now, Josh Hartnett has a history with Batman because he was once in contention to play Bruce Wayne in Christopher Nolan's Batman Begins, and while that didn't happen, the actor is now starring in Nolan's upcoming film Oppenheimer. He's had higher profile roles in the past, whether it be Pearl Harbor or Black Hawk Down, and I must say, it would be really great to see him complete a big screen comeback, and his recent roles seem to be suggesting just that. When it comes to Joel Edgerton, this would again be another great choice, and obviously the actor has been in some standout roles with The Thing, The Great Gatsby, Zero Dark 30 and Warrior. Now, I myself would personally love to see Hartnett as the choice, and as I touched on, it would be really great to see him complete a turnaround by getting all of these bigger roles. But I'm sure whoever is cast and whatever role it is for, Matt Reeves will of course make the right choice. One thing I will say is that if this news is true and that they are going for an actor who will transform into Two-Face by the end of the film, I do hope that it's being differentiated to what we've seen before with, like, say, Aaron Eckhart as the character in The Dark Knight. I'm sure that is a big consideration because Matt Reeves would not want those comparisons being made. And I have to admit, it did make me a bit skeptical of this source that John Rocha mentioned. At the same time, I do believe the rumour that Harvey Dent is going to be a part of the film because multiple sources over the last couple of months, including Batman on Film, have hinted towards the character being a part of this project. At the end of the day, we'll just have to see whether this turns out to be true, but I do trust that Matt Reeves and his team will take a more unique approach towards this character, and one that fits in line with his version of Gotham. And if they do follow on with showcasing that transformation into Two-Face, I would expect it to be a bit more complex and different in the film. We know that Matt Reeves is portraying a more grounded and detective version of the Batman world, focusing on connecting characters in complex ways and taking deep dives into their psyches, so it will be interesting to see how Harvey Dent or Two-Face will appear, both physically and narratively, if he's involved. The depiction of Two-Face has varied over the years, but recently we've seen him as a more tragic figure, one that is at war with himself and all the conflictions between taking the path of justice or violence. And after Matt Reeves' The Batman film showed the multiple sides to corruption in Gotham City and connected that to Bruce Wayne himself, it seems more than likely that a take on Harvey Dent could fit in this world really well. My guess would be that we'd see Harvey struggling against the rising criminal element in Gotham, making it somewhat different to how he's portrayed in, say, the beginning of The Dark Knight. In that film, yes, he does eventually struggle, but he starts off as the city's White Knight, putting a lot of Gotham's criminals behind bars. We saw and heard about the good that he had done for the city, even if that good didn't last very long. So maybe seeing the reverse to that at the start of The Batman 2, with a Harvey Dent that's trying to help put the criminals away, but struggling with the sheer extent of the problem, is something that could stand out. And of course, it will be interesting to see if his disfiguration is shown by the end of that film too. Overall though, when it comes to these casting rumours, I think they could be really strong additions, and apart from just looking like Harvey Dent, they are two actors that have tremendous talent, and they could equally create an iconic performance for the character. Moving on, I wanted to end this video by briefly talking about the other casting rumours and updates surrounding multiple projects in the upcoming DCU, which is being spearheaded by director James Gunn and Peter Safran. The first piece of news involves the first film in the DCU, which is Superman Legacy, and Deadline have reported that casting for the lead roles is now coming to its end. The article said that following months of watching audition tapes, Warner Brothers and DC are getting closer to finding both their Superman and Lois Lane, as a second round of auditions is set to take place. For Superman, they report that Nicholas Hoult, David Corenswet and Tom Brittney are expected to test for Clark Kent, and that Emma Mackey, Rachel Brosnahan and Phoebe Dynevor are testing for Lois Lane. It's further noted that the writer and director of Superman Legacy, James Gunn, has waited for his press tour on Guardians 3 to end so that he could conduct a thorough review of each tape, and that these names were the ones that rose to the top of the shortlist. Another piece of news that broke came on the same podcast that reported on the Harvey Dent castings in The Batman 2, and this involved Jeff Snyder saying that he heard Bill Skarsgård was the actor being looked at to play Alec Holland or Swamp Thing. Now, we know that James Mangold is close to taking the director's chair on the film, but it's likely that we won't hear much on the casting for that until after the filmmaker has finished working on his Bob Dylan biopic. James Gunn said that the Swamp Thing movie will investigate the dark origins of the character, be a much more horrific film, and one where the title character will still interact with others. And the final piece of news to come out of the DCU included an update on the director of the upcoming Brave and the Bold film. It was said previously that the Flash director Andy Muschietti might be in line to helm the Brave and the Bold, especially after his response in a recent interview. Well, now the Hollywood Reporter has confirmed that Muschietti is indeed the top candidate to direct that movie, with nothing official as of yet. It said in the same article that the project doesn't have a completed script, so there's no commitment from Andy until one is complete post the writer's strike. So with those being the main updates for the DCU, we'll have to see how each of these stories develop, and when it comes to the names attached both in casting and directing, I think I do like most of these choices. Of course, we need to know a bit more about the angle they are taking when it comes to a storytelling perspective, but the names involved do include some candidates with a lot of potential. I would expect us to get the Superman casting around the time of Comic-Con in late July, and when it comes to the Batman Part 2 castings, I would expect the announcement to be similar to the first film, where Matt Reeves had announced who would play certain characters on social media. So expect a lot of this to be officially announced sometime this summer. As a whole though, it looks like it's going to be a busy few months for DC, but ones with plenty of excitement, especially if we're getting a lot of casting reveals and movie announcements. But that was my video discussing the potential castings for the Batman Part 2 and the latest news from the DCU. It's going to be interesting to see if these casting rumours turn out to be true or which way they go with it, and as I said, we know that we are going to be getting official announcements for the Batman over the next few months. So let's see what happens, and don't forget to stay tuned to my channel where I will be sharing news and discussing it whenever it does come online. But let me know down below in the comment section what your thoughts are towards these potential casting choices and the updates surrounding multiple DC projects. For much more videos and news on the Batman and DC, then subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications. Also, if you enjoyed this video, remember to leave a like rating and follow me on social media via the links in the description. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I've been Cortex, and as always, make some noise.